What is up, bros? With Josh here. In today's video, we have a good breaking it down, and this one is in the Tier 9 Premium US Cruiser, and that is the USS Alaska. This is a ship that I don't play very often, and I kind of forget just how good this ship is, and I think I even said that on stream that, man, I forget how good this ship is and just how effective. And this is a great learning experience and a great example to kind of show what to do when your side is very one-sided, one team or the other. And as you can see, first thing you should always do is look at the mini-map and get very aware of what's going on. And as you can see, we only have 3 of our 12 on this side, so that means we're going to be pretty light. And also you can see the breakdown is we have a Caba. Caba, very high tiers, is not the best actual destroyer role specific ship. Honestly, the Caba is in a weird spot right now, but going against other DDs, and as you can see, one thing you should always do when you go into a game is break down what is the enemy team. And as you can see, they have a Shimakaze Yugumo and a Friesland, so 2 very stealthy ships, as well as a fairly stealthy ship. Regardless, they all are going to spot this Caba. So this Caba is at a pretty big disadvantage. So not only is he a ship that can take full AP salvos, it is also a ship that basically can't spot anything, and really it's just us 3. But that's a really good thing to start learning and start getting used to, is watching the minimap and just getting used to what is around. And with this, I knew that I couldn't get too close, and I didn't want to overcommit on getting into an area where I can radar. As you know, most USN ships, especially the Alaska, have the ability to have the 10-kilometer radar. So what I basically did was just quickly, just from seeing what was around, I knew I couldn't get too close, because if I overcommit and get into radar range, yes, maybe we could have killed this Yugumo, but that probably would have been the death of me, because as one thing we can also see is that we have a Thunderer coming our way, which means there's a Kremlin coming our way, as well as a Shimakaze coming our way. So this is kind of a sketchy side, and this is a great example on what I wanted to show off, is what do you do when you're basically completely outnumbered on one side of the map. And that is not overcommitting. One of the main things and one of the problems that a lot of people do is just not see what's going on when you are completely outnumbered and you're just at a big disadvantage here. Our Caba is not a ship that's going to ever outspot this Yugumo. Our Caba is not ever a ship that's going to outspot the Shimakaze that's coming our way. And I am not tanky enough to fend off all of these ships, but what I can do is basically start dragging this game out and kind of start talking to this Caba. And it was a bit of a bummer here too. He ended up taking a Torp that was spotted, so we knew we weren't going to get too much out of this Caba, and it was a bit of a bummer. But one thing I'm going to start doing is getting into a position where I can start dragging this away and start extending the game. And as you all know, the worst feeling you can ever get is a Kremlin shooting at you, and so it is time for us basically to start moving, because Russian LOL, they can be tons of pain. And so this is one of the main reasons why I didn't commit into pushing into radar on this, is because there were so many unknowns. One thing that always comes up when people ask on stream is, we had a nice little salvo here on that Donskoy, and is I'm having trouble with X ship, what should I do? Or I'm having trouble with this ship, I'm dying too early, what should I do? And I kind of recommend people just starting off fairly, if you're having a tough time maybe surviving with destroyers, or a tough time surviving with cruisers, or maybe you're overextending with battleships or something like that, literally for the first minute, drive quarter speed. Now you may ask, what does that have to do with anything? Why would I do that? And that's because you want the game to kind of develop a little bit and figure out where everything's going. If I would have gone completely aggressive to support my destroyer on this cap, which we knew was getting capped by an enemy cap, which means there's a DD there, well, maybe we kill that one ship, maybe, and then I'm probably dead, and probably the Caba is dead as well, because there is a Donskoy, as well as a Kremlin, as well as a Thunder, as well as a Bismarck, and you can kind of see how that goes. So one of the main things I always recommend to people is just giving the game time to develop. If you just do that, you have the ability. And one thing you're going to see right here is me starting to pick on this Kremlin. And I know there's a lot going on. It doesn't seem like there's a lot going on. It seems like this is a super boring game, but there's actually a lot going on in situations like this. And I always try to kind of, kind of explain what I'm doing in game, but really when there's a lot going on, it's hard to really kind of do a play-by-play. But that's why I really like doing videos like this. And I know I'm talking really fast, but one of the things you can see here too is the Republic that was on our side has completely rotated over to the middle. We have our two NorCal div right here. I think they're both stock, and I think they're both Camelists maybe, or maybe the one guy wasn't Camelist, but they're both stock, and they are just going to basically YOLO in, and they are going to get killed. So not only did we lose a tier 8 premium cruiser with the Bayard, we lost 2 battleships as well, so this is a pretty tough start to the game. Yes, they are bottom tier, but still, I'm in a bad spot, because as you see the map, there is a Bismarck to the south, there is a Kremlin, there is a Thunderer with that, there is the Shima that hasn't really been spotted in a long time, there's a Yagumo. This is a really bad time. Also, there is a Donskoy that has very accurate shells from a fairly long range, but one thing we're going to do is try to punish these battleships as much as we can and really just kind of extend the game out. Now, one thing you can do a lot with Russian battleships is force the repairs, and that's what I'm trying to do here. But I'm trying to keep this Bismarck in check because I'm trying to slow down this side of the map. Because as you can see, we have a decent amount of ships on the other side. They just have to start killing stuff. And obviously, we haven't seen these destroyers in a while, so I popped a radar. Got pretty lucky. We at least got an idea of where this guy is, even though he's going to get out of radar range. But now we know that torps are probably coming our way, so I'm going to start preparing for them and start moving away. But again, every time that a Kremlin doesn't have a fire, as you guys know, or Russian battleships, their signature is they have a very fast cooldown, or I guess a very short cooldown on their repairs, but they have only so many of them. So that's kind of a good and bad thing. Now, one of the things you can do with Russian battleships is actually get into a kind of a situation where you can force them to run out of repairs. So that's what we're trying to do. And our Kaba has since rotated back, and he's going to basically do the best that he can to go back to port. He was not, I guess he tried his best. It was one of those that it was just, it's a high tier game and you're going to get players like this, and it's one that he really just kind of ended up dying. But as you can see right here, again, it's just me. This Kaba is rotating back, but just like that, we have pushed a battleship back. This may not seem important, but it really is, because we are down ships, and it's basically me and this Kaba versus, as you can see, 2 destroyers, 2 battleships, and a Donskoy, and actually the Thunder, I believe, is still on this side. So there's actually 2 of us over here taking on 6 ships, which is actually pretty solid, because those 6 ships aren't doing damage really to anything else. That's a big upside. What that's doing is we are down 2 ships. Now we're only down 1. It's buying us time. And so this is kind of the whole message of this game, is that sometimes all you have to do is just buy your team time. And if you do that, you can really kind of make up for it, but you have to know what's going on. And so as you saw, we got in a very defensive game mode. We're just pushing them back. This Kremlin's getting burnt down. The Donskoy is getting pushed in. Now the Bismarck here is a bit of a problem. It has a lot of health, but we will get some damage on him here in a little bit. The reason that I'm focusing so much on this Kremlin at 16 or 18 kilometers instead of the 13 kilometer Bismarck is that he's so low, which means he may already be out of repairs. I doubt it. Since we only have 3, he may just be letting that burn out, but I'm trying to potentially kill that Kremlin before this happens. But now it's time to start working on this Bismarck, as he ended up killing our poor Kaba, who just wouldn't stop shooting. But hey, what are you going to do? And again, we're going to push that Kremlin. So this, so far, is actually a win for me right now. We've held off a lot this division of the Thunderer, Kremlin, Shimakaze, and as you can see right there, there's our Witherer. And again, we're going to just figure out where the Shimakaze is. Information is so important, and we are going to, again, trying to just time this as well as I can. But the other side of this map and our team is actually getting stuff done, because we've bought them time. We've held a lot of ships. You know, we've kept them busy for a while, and that's actually given a few of our ships some time to actually get in there and start doing some damage. And we kind of have the idea of where these other destroyers are right now, and this is actually kind of a decent little spot for us right now, but we are going to kind of run out of some space here because it's getting a little dangerous. We have a Donskoy that's very dangerous with its HE. We have a Bismarck that's also shooting HE, and the Donskoy is actually doing a fairly good job. We smacked him earlier, so I was hoping that maybe we could just smack him again, but he starts using his WASDA hacks, so it's not super easy, even though Alaska isn't Alaska. But really one of the big points here is, again, slowing down the battleship push. I'll just tank the HE damage. But you always kind of want to keep battleships in check too, which with this HE. And here I think we start missing some salvos here. The smarter play would be for me to focus on the Bismarck, but we're also kind of nervous on if this Thunder wants to get into the party a little bit again, or the Kremlin. But as you can see, this game started off really bad. We lost 2 battleships, we lost the cruiser, but really we're climbing our way back. We have full control on the west side, or on the east side. Well, I say full control. They're at least pushed back, and they have the potential of doing some damage here. We actually have some control in the middle. We did just lose a Donskoy, and then we have a Shima pushing up with the Yugumo in the middle. So we have some decent positioning here, and really we have a GK down there that's about to lose, so it still was looking pretty bad, but it was looking semi-promising, and we got into a spot here where I was like, okay, it's time for me to get fairly aggressive and start kind of looking. At some point, you can't just hold down forever. You have to start making pushes. Luckily, we get a nice kill on the Shima. Our Yugumo was pretty clutch there, and he actually was pretty clutch for the rest of this game. And I even thought about pushing full speed into this Bismarck, but I think the Donskoy shoots right here, and that kind of fends me off because I'm not super worried about a Bismarck shooting HE. I think an Alaska would probably win this fight, honestly, 1v1. But it's a lot of life trade for a bottom tier battleship that's just shooting HE and not very accurately. But as you see, I start to get a little aggressive here towards this because I'm thinking, hey, I can maybe get the Donskoy to maybe give me a broadside. This guy's going, and if you've ever played the Alaska or something like that and going against broadside Bismarcks, we can actually get a lot of damage on him as well. So this is kind of my play right now to push in, because at a certain point you have to just push in and make things happen. You can't just hide the entire game. But as the Donskoy is going south, that basically seals it for me. I'm not going to focus on this and just kind of feed into something that's just going to burn me down, because, again, I'm only at 28,000 or whatever. But, again, the whole thing is we've bought time. We've kept these ships kind of in check, and we are going to actually have some nice little damage right here, and we're already up to 160k. Now, I know a lot of it is before somebody says, well, it's all fire damage and everything like that, but that fire damage is really important, because this fire damage is keeping, again, these ships in check, and that is just so important when you are outnumbered. And the way I've played this game is purely because I looked at the minimap first. And the way I looked at the minimap first was I saw we were completely outnumbered. And as you can see in the kill feed, there's starting to be a lot of kills on our side. So this is really important. And we are almost tied up score-wise. We just lost B-Cap, which means they have the destroyer there. But we actually have some decent crossfire here. We have the Republic that actually ended up switching spots with me. I'm cutting over the other way. And this is actually pretty good because it gets me in range to potentially radar this DD. So this is actually a pretty good spot. I was able to push these ships back south, and that gives our Republic some space because we want our Repub to be focused on these guys' broadsides, because if they can, he can do a ton of damage. Now, a good thing to do is to always focus on what has used its repair, and that Thunder has used its repair. So that's extremely important to get used to kind of following. As you see, I immediately switch. I don't think I had expert loader on this captain, and I'm instantly repairing fires right now. At this point, I can't give away too much damage, but it's so important to get into the rhythm of using or spotting what has used it. And again, I'm still trying to kind of focus on this Kremlin. I know that he's low because he's been sitting on stuff for so long. The Bismarck's still trying to get some stuff on me. But this just shows the power of the Alaska as well. There's probably not too many other ships. Maybe the Yoshino could have done kind of what this is and maybe actually put in some torp damage. But right now, again, we're in a pretty tough spot. I think right now, honestly, he actually juked both of our salvos there. I think probably the Thunder would have been a little bit better of a target, maybe forcing some damage. But us sticking on this Kremlin, I don't know, something about Kremlins, you just kind of want to take them down. But they're also starting to get some shots on this, and our Yugumo actually went ham at the end. So again, they're up to almost 850. And again, this is another time where I'm like, okay, we're gonna have to do what we can and pump in damage on this, because you get to a point where you can only kind of hide for so long. Now, you know, a lot of people might call this cowardly play if you want, or a lot of people might call this whatever. You know, you're running away, you're not fighting like a man. You see that all the time in this game. But really, what we've done is basically help win this game, and pretty heavily, because basically the destroyer was able to tee up that guy because he was so focused on me, and then our Republic was able to get over to the side. Our Yamato is slaying some kills down there, and our Chungmu is actually pumping, this is the Yugumo, I think, right here, who also played awesome. So just like this game started off terribly, and now it's kind of looking decent. And I think I don't know if this is the salvo or not. I think we have one more. Yeah, we had a nice little salvo there. And really, this was a game where it looked extremely boring, but there's actually a lot going on, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. And again, on the last video, kind of breaking stuff down, I'm not quite sure what to call this series. We've done kind of quote-unquote breaking it down videos for a long time. I don't know if I quite like that. Maybe if you guys have some ideas for a cool series. And again, just trying to see where this destroyer is, if he is close. That was my last one. And so unlucky. Again, we have 222k, no kills. We were the best little teammate here. We're going to use our last little heal and get up. And again, the enemy team is about to win, but there goes the Donskoy. So a nice little rotation for me in this repub on top of this Yugumo doing work. We did some work on this side. And here we go, Bismarck versus this. Again, as in Alaska, even though I have 20k, I'm not super worried about the Bismarck. And again, I say that, and we'll take a random Citadel on a Bismarck any day of the week. And someone says awesome, or not, wow, nice comeback, or wow, that comeback. This was a crazy comeback. Going down 3 ships instantly is always a bummer, and then losing a lot of map control. But again, this may look like kind of slow, boring gameplay. But there's a lot going on, and I kind of want these to maybe tell you guys what I'm thinking of, what I'm doing, and why I'm doing it. There was a lot of positive feedback on you guys liking this kind of stuff. I know these videos tend to not get that good of views, but if it helps you guys, I like making these videos anyway, and this was a game that definitely was a time. But this one was definitely one, if your side is outnumbered, what to start looking for and how to maybe play it. That is maybe something I would try to gather from this. But here you see, and I think we break the I don't know, did we break 250? I don't remember. But no, this is an awesome game. And again, if you guys have maybe a cooler name for this, breaking it down, I don't know if that's a good thing. Let me know if you like the name breaking it down. But and here we see Bismarck pushing in. Again, he's been HE all game. I'm not super worried. And of course, it would be a crime, and finally he switches to AP. It would be a crime if I were to get a kill this game. But what are you going to do? And I look at him like he steals my kill, but I don't care. As long as we win, I'll take 264,000 damage in the Alaska. Nothing wrong with that, and a pretty epic comeback. Again, the playstyle might look boring. It might look like it's not very productive, whatever you want to call it. But there's actually a lot going on, and I hope these kind of videos kind of open up to what all is going on. Again, the whole plan of this game was that we were completely outnumbered on this side, and it's kind of what I was thinking and what I was planning on and when I was doing things. I hope it kind of opens you guys up, and hopefully you guys can turn some maybe one-sided games into one-sided victories. But anyways, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys this time.